Hi, this is Deetra Kelsey, host of Sister Talk, televised live Saturdays at 2 p.m. on MNN1. On Sister Talk, we feature beautiful, intelligent sisters and brothers too, from the world of entertainment, politics, music, health and wellness, and so much more. Watch Sister Talk, televised live Saturdays at 2 p.m. on MNN1. Sister Talk, we're more than just talk.
Domestic violence affects every neighborhood, every community.
Last year, the NYPD responded to an average of 770 domestic violence incidents every day.
You are the greatest tool we have to end domestic abuse.
We want every New Yorker to ask,
What can I do to help?
Instead of being a bystander to domestic violence in our city,
We need everyone to become an upstander.
Because everyone plays a role in preventing domestic violence.
I am an upstander.
it is my business when I hear abuse next door.
an upstander does not stand for people making light of domestic violence.
An upstander talks to their friends and family
about the relationship they deserve.
Every woman, man, and child has the right to be free of violence and intimidation in their home.
Awareness,
Help.
Hope.
Something that's very dear to me is domestic violence across the board. Here we have Hannah Pennington, Executive Director from the Manhattan Family Justice Center at the Mayor's Office to Combat Domestic Violence. Domestic violence is a pattern of behavior used to establish power and control over another person through fear and intimidation, often including the threat or use of violence. Hannah, thank you so much for appearing on Sister Talk TV show, taking your time from the Mayor's office. My first question is, what exactly is the Mayor's office doing to combat domestic violence?
Well, first, thank you so much for having me.
Thank you.
Such an important topic, and I'm thrilled to be here and talk to your audience about it. We're doing a lot, is the quick answer. Our main commitment is to make sure that we are connecting all survivors and their families with services, all New Yorkers. We now have 4 family justice centers, which are one-stop shops, which provide various services to victims and their children.
When you say one-stop shop, what does that mean?
All the things that a victim could need in trying to recover from an abusive relationship, civil legal services that they may need, counseling that they may need, other social services they may need from a case manager to help connect them with economic empowerment services, things like that. And we now have centers in Brooklyn, the Bronx, Queens, and Manhattan, where I'm the director. And by the end of this year, we'll have one in Staten Island as well.
Wow.
And with that network of family justice centers, which is the largest in the world, which we're very proud of, we are committed to making sure that all victims are able to get help.
When we talk of victims, I'm looking at is it a cultural or race issue with domestic violence? You know.
Well, so, you know, domestic violence affects everyone, which is really something we try to make sure we talk about all the time so people know they're not alone. Certainly, if you look at the statistics that we compile at the Mayor's office and you look at, you know, we just recently released a report from a fatality review committee, which does show that domestic violence, domestic homicide does disproportionately affect some communities. But most importantly, it affects all communities, all corners of our city. So really, when we go out and we spend a lot of time, in addition to providing services, is we're out there making sure everybody knows about those services. Our central message is to make sure that everybody can get help, because it really does affect everybody, regardless of their education background, regardless of their immigration status, their gender, their sexual orientation, their income. Regardless, it really affects everyone, and we want to make sure we help everyone.
The immigration, that's what I want to talk about. Is it hard for victims of domestic violence to come to your shop or the program because of their immigration status?
It is not. We, like
okay.
like all of New York City, you know, we welcome all undocumented immigrants into our centers, and we train all of our staff to make sure that actually those are the victims who are coming forward to us. Certainly we can understand that there may be reluctance, but again, that's part of our outreach message at all times. And, you know, since we opened in 2005, we've had over 100,000 clients at our family justice centers, and just last year we had 54,000 client visits at our 4 centers. So we're encouraged by that number. I know it's a startling number, but it's also an encouraging number because we know that clients are coming to our centers and feel comfortable coming. And then they go back to their communities and they're able to share what they've learned and the strength that they've gotten, and they're getting the message out as well to other victims.
Wow, what programs do you have for the abuser, though?
So at the Family Justice Centers, we don't actually serve abusive partners, but we do know that a lot of victims are not ready or not wanting to leave their relationships. They simply want the violence to stop. And we understand that, and we serve those victims as well. And where we can and when appropriate, we certainly provide them and the people that are working with them information and referrals for the abusive partner.
So do you get a lot of those people that don't want to leave their abusive relationships thinking that it would be better? I'm just do you have statistics on that?
I don't have statistics on it. I mean, we all know that it does sometimes take a long time for someone to get out of an abusive relationship. Those statistics show that it can take up to 7 times for someone to leave before they actually finally leave one of those relationships. But we, you know, again, in terms of that message to make sure that everybody's coming forward, we want to make sure that people aren't alone who may not be ready to or who may not want to. So we certainly are ready to work with victims who have called the police, haven't called the police, wherever they are, we meet the client where they are.
That's good. That's not intimidating for the victim and all that. What programs do you have for the children? Because they're the ones that are affected by this issue.
Absolutely. It's such an incredibly important part of the work that we do. At each of the Family Justice Centers, we have an extensive children's program. We have a wonderful children's room that you should come visit. They're really wonderful and lovely. And we have experts who are doing what we call therapeutic childcare. So they're sitting down with the kids and giving them snacks and playing with them and doing art projects, but they're also seeing if they're seeing signs that maybe they need additional assistance. And in addition to those children's room, we have children's counselors right on site. We also have a wonderful family literacy project that we run through funding from the Brooke Jackman Foundation, where families can come every week and they read a book together. It's bilingual, it's in English and in Spanish, and we give them a really wonderful family-style meal, and they do crafts together. And it's a way. A lot of the people who are coming to see us have been uprooted from their communities because of what's happened to them. And for them to be able to create that community at our centers while also building literacy skills for their children, it's been really terrific.
Wow, you sound very enthused about it. Let me ask you a couple of questions about yourself. Why did you join the mayor's office to combat domestic violence?
Well, I've been doing work with survivors for a long time. Since law school, I'm an attorney by training, and I did practice and represented victims in family court for some time and was in private practice in other areas as well. And you know, I think that it's a pretty amazing thing that the City of New York has a dedicated agency on the topic of domestic violence. I'm really proud of it and proud that our city has made such a commitment to the issue. And for that reason, I jumped at the chance. I'm also from Manhattan, and when they opened the Manhattan Family Justice Center, I wanted to be a part of it, and it's been a wonderful experience.
Do you have any statistics of the what does the domestic violence, how much does it result in murder?
Yes, as I mentioned earlier, the Mayor's Office to Combat Domestic Violence convenes the Fatality Review Committee, which is a group of city agencies, survivors, and our commissioner as well, who look each year at the family-related homicides in our city. We just released our annual report a few weeks ago. The good news is that over the last 10 years, there's been a 36% reduction in family-related homicides in our city, which is encouraging. But of course, any homicide is too many, and last year we had 62 family-related homicides in New York City, so that's why we do what we do. At the end of the day, it's really, we're trying to save lives.
If people need information to contact your department, what number would you give out?
Well, 311, if you call 311, if it's not an emergency, you can quickly be connected with your nearest Family Justice Center for a friend, for yourself, for a family member. We also have a citywide 24-hour domestic violence hotline. It's 1-800-621-HOPE. And we also, another thing we wanted to always make sure to bring up is a great, exciting initiative that we just started last October, which is the Upstander campaign, which is an opportunity for everybody to get involved.
We have a video that we're going to show later on.
Yes, but it's a way to engage all New Yorkers in the work that we're doing, and all of us being a part of our effort to combat domestic violence.
A couple more questions I wanted to ask you.
Sure.
Is there a problem in the LGBT community with domestic violence? I know it's a silent epidemic, but do you all get calls or from that community about?
Absolutely. I mean, we do, as I mentioned, you know, domestic violence really does affect all corners of our city, all populations in our city, and certainly it affects the LGBTQ population. And at our Family Justice Centers, we work with a lot of different community-based organizations. Just in Manhattan alone, we have over 21 organizations on site. And those organizations typically do work with some targeted populations. We work really closely with the New York City Anti-Violence Project, which is a wonderful organization that works specifically with survivors from the LGBTQ population.
I understand also when somebody does call the police for help for a situation that they're in, the police, it appears, from what I understand, that they're more sensitive to domestic violence situations. Is that true?
More sensitive than they had been in the past?
Yeah,
is that what you mean? Well, we work really closely with the New York City Police Department. We have 2 full-time domestic violence police officers at all our centers, and they have probably, like everybody, you know, really, there's been a lot of awareness raised about this issue, but we work really closely with them to make sure that they're connecting those victims with us.
You know, Hannah, I want to really thank you for coming from the mayor's office to talk to me, Deetra, myself, and my viewers that are looking at the TV also. This is really a project that I am going to keep doing and so forth. Thank you. I think the information was so good that you gave out. Can you give the number one more time, please?
Sure. Either calling 311 and asking to be connected to your nearest Family Justice Center, or calling our citywide domestic violence hotline, which is 1-800-621-HOPE.